I've never been to a PINC meeting here, and I didn't have the chance last year. I'm going to tell you about the 11 cities ice skating tour and the 11 cities ice skating race. What are we talking about? I think it's also something you will never be able to see here in Florida because it's too warm over here. We need 15 centimeters of ice. Then in the north of Holland, I will show you a bit later, in the finale we have this ice skating tour, 30,000 participants, 30,000 members, try to skate 120 miles in one day. Yeah. 30% of them doesn't make it, but we'll see later on why is that. We organize it every year, but we've had only 15 editions so far in the last century because we need the ice. We organize it only by volunteers. Nobody's being paid to organize it. We organize it with a budget of €1.5 million. Not $1 is coming from sponsors. So it's a very strange event. I think it's the most unique sports event we've had all over the world because we never know when it is going to happen and we're always ready for it. Well, first of all, we take 1 minute to look at the edition of 1963. Why 1963? Because 1963 we had 10,000 participants. They started from 5:30 in the morning. Only 110 finished out of 10,000. So it was the hardest one we've ever had. You can see where blizzards, snow, hard wind, but still 110 people finished. What are we talking about? We're talking about the Netherlands, capital Amsterdam, not Copenhagen, as many people think. And in the north, we have a province called Friesland. You could say Friesland, but it's Friesland. And you can see with the pink road, we have 11 cities in our province. Well, 11 cities, yes. They got a city right in the Middle Ages already. The biggest one is 100,000 inhabitants. The smallest one is 900 inhabitants. So compared to the Chinese cities, it's a little bit less. We have 11, and when you skate through all the 11 cities, you've done 210 kilometers, 120 miles. So that's what we are talking about. Our association was founded in 1909. So, as I said, at this moment there are 30,000 members, and we have a budget to organize it for $1.5 million. In 1909, here is the board, 4 people in front, and you see all the participants behind them, about 25. The budget was $100 to organize the first tour. After that, we've seen budget and members and everything explode. Nowadays, the board looks like this. I have to leave this afternoon because I have to be back in Holland Saturday morning when we have our annual meeting with our members, and between 500 to 1,000 members will be in a place like this each year to hear about our financial situation and other things that don't matter, but they will be there because it's a big reunion. And our board nowadays, because of course when you have 1.5 million visitors in one day, when you have 30,000 participants, when you have it like this, you need experts. So we have an expert on the medical aspects. We have someone responsible for logistics. We have someone for communication. And it is a huge responsibility nowadays. That's different than it was in 1909. When you start, you get this card. You see all the cities, Leeuwarden, Sneek, Aalst, Sloten, and when you finish again in Leeuwarden, you've had 11 cities, you have 11 stamps on this card, and then you get what you did it for. You get the 11 cities cross. You saw it already before. You have to be in before midnight. If you are midnight 3 seconds later, you don't get your cross. Yeah? Which for some people is a disaster. Because your father did it and your grandfather did it, and you want your cross to be able to show that you finished. Well, this is how it looks like. It's not that big, it's only a small one like this one, but this is what it's all about. Now, since we existed in 2009, 100 years, we are no longer the Association of 11 Cities, we are the Royal Association of etc. And how did that come? We had a participant in 1986 who is now our king in the Netherlands. So, if you want to become a royal association, it's a little bit easier when the king has participated. So that's how we got it. And if you get a new king, as we did 3 years ago, yeah, this is what it looks like. The second one from the right is his 11 Cities cross. Yeah. He was wearing this when he became king. And what did he say? Well, that's quite exceptional. He said, this one is the only thing I have earned myself. Yeah. The rest was just given to me because I'm royal. But he was terribly proud of having his 11 Cities cross over there. And actually, he had made one for himself because it had to be a little bit bigger than the normal cross, otherwise it would have been too small for the other ones, you see. So, he never asked us if that was possible, but sometimes kings don't ask us what to do. So, if you obtain the cross, you have to be 18 years or older. Yeah, it was a long time ago, you could be much younger, but now it has to be 18 years. Your skate is 130 miles. You need all the stamps, and again, if you finish after midnight, you don't get your cross. This guy was 3 seconds late, he died almost there, you know. But he was on television and they knew he finished, but he didn't get his cross. So, then you have a big problem.
Algemet stempelt als eerste, Verduin als tweede, Van Bentum, Stam, Kleine is alweer weg. En als laatste, Erik Hulsenbos.
This was a 1997 edition. Here you saw the participants in the race. So we start in the morning at 5:30 with the men's race. 250 very good ice skaters will participate. If you win, you're famous for the rest of your life. And after 10 minutes, the women start, 150 women, also very good skaters. They skate 210 kilometers, 130 miles in 6.5 hours. Yes. So, that's not for everybody. We need unique conditions. We need 15 centimeters. I really don't know how many inches or whatever that is, but it's about like this. We need this much of ice to have all these 30,000 people on the ice and get them off safely again. As I told already, this is the race. They start before, in darkness, of course, 5:30 in the morning. And after 5 o'clock in the evening, it will be dark again. So that's why it's also very dangerous, but I'll tell you about that later. And you have to be member of the association. Well, to be member, the membership amount is $12 a year, so that should not be it. But you have to be a member. And if we have all the ice as we have in the total route, there might be some places where there's thin ice below the bridges or whatever places, and what do we do then? Well, we climb and walk on the skates. This is very difficult for ice skaters to go outside, to walk on the skates, and as you can see here, sometimes you have to walk for 100 meters or something like that, and then you go back onto the ice. Number 2 here was the winner of the 1985 edition and 1986 editions. We had 2 behind each other. He was really famous after these two times he won. And if you are that famous, you hardly have any life in the Netherlands after that. So what did he do? He said, I'm going to take my farm and we go to Canada. So, he moved to Canada to be out of all the people asking the same questions all the time. So, we had 15 times in the last 100 years, the last one 1997. We had a period between 1963 and 1985 when there was no tour, was not enough ice. There was a chairman who started in 1964, 1 year after the tour, and who stopped in 1984, 1 year before the next tour. So, my worst nightmare is something like that, let me say. And the next one, yes, we don't know. We need low temperature, we need ice. But what is happening in the Netherlands when it starts to freeze, when there's frost, then everybody gets crazy. Camera teams will move to our house as soon as it starts to freeze. Yeah. And then they say, have you met already with all the members of the board? And we say, well, there's only this ice at the moment, so please wait. But that's the impact of the 11 City Ice Skating Tour. We expect 2 million visitors. We had 2 million visitors on one day in the last edition of 1997. 3,000 journalists from all over the world. And with the new media, we say we have 2 million journalists because everybody has a cell phone nowadays. So what happened in 2012? 2012.
Ik geef graag het woord aan Wiebe Wieling.
Jimmy, dankjewel. Beste mensen, ik heb geen goed nieuws. Wij kunnen op dit moment geen tocht uitschrijven. Het grootste gedeelte van de route is onvoldoende qua ijsdikte.
So, 2012, the problem was in the north of the province, it was freezing for 2 weeks only. We had frost for 2 weeks. In the north, there was 25 centimeters of ice. We need only 15. In the south, it had been snowing. There was only 7, 8 centimeters of ice. So at the end of these 2 weeks, we had to tell the Dutch people that there would not be an 11 city ice skating tour or an 11 city ice skating race. What does that mean in the Netherlands? It means that the 8 o'clock news, half an hour, was filled with only the press conference in which we said that there would not be an 11 city ice skating tour. Yeah? Half an hour was filled with that. The whole country is in distress. And I'm so glad I survived that message over there. So, when we look at the medical specs, 5,000 out of the last time 16,000 participants did not make it. They did not finish, which is 1/3 of the people who started then. What we see is 100 people by ambulance to the hospital. Seriously injured people. Broken hips, legs, shoulders, jaw fractures. One lost his nose when he hit into a bridge. And we always tell everybody not to do that. But and one disease by heart attack. There hasn't been an edition where not one person has died. So, why participate? Why do you do that? Because you want to have your cross, because you want to be famous in your family and you want to be famous in the country. So, the value of the brand, it is the best known, perhaps not here, but the best known and respected name in Dutch sports scene. It is in Holland, it is even, we prefer it above the Olympics and the world soccer. Well, soccer is not a big problem anymore because we didn't even qualify for the European Championship. But there has been a time that we could play soccer at a better level. And in this little message it says that ice skaters who went to Sochi to the Olympics, they said, if it starts to freeze in Friesland, we come back and we leave the Olympics. Yeah? Because the Olympics is not that big as the 11 City Ice Skating Tour is. So why is it so special? Well, we organized this whole event in 48 hours. 48 hours, 2 days. Yeah? We organized it. We organize it without €1, $1 sponsor money. Of course, there's a lot of ads on TV, but we don't. We want to be independent. We will never get $1 from one company. And we do it only by volunteers. 30,000 participants, 1.5 million visitors, 48 hours, we organize it. That means we have to be prepared.
Wieling inspecteerde dus vandaag een deel van het parcours tussen hinderlopen en stavoren. En tientallen vrijwilligers waren daar bezig met het sneeuwvrijmaken van het ijs.
If there's snow on the ice won't grow. So that what we do, we make a call to the radio station and we ask for volunteers. A few hours later, a few hundred people will be where they have to be and they start to remove the snow from the ice.
Ik heb er nu verschillende keren meegemaakt. Weet je ook heel leuk is? Dat 's morgens vroeg, heel vroeg naar het eind van de lus bij de Slotermeer. En dan is het donker en dan hoor je de schaatsers aankomen. Je ziet ze niet, maar je hoort die ijzers over dat ijs. En dat is zo'n schitterend geluid. Dat is, ja, daarom.
At least it's a different sound than the sound of the cars, of course, but this is why we do it, yes, because in our province, 600,000 people, we think we have to do it. I will come back to that later. And then why? Why do we organize an event that has a little chance to take place? And we do it every year. We do it with the volunteers. It takes a lot of time. We have to be prepared on December 1 every year, because if it's going to freeze, we have to organize it. We have to be ready in 48 hours for a huge event like this is. Now, why do we do that? First of all, we know, I've done it twice, my wife has done it once, we know what it means to get to cross, yes, to finish. It is a huge honor to tell your family, your relatives, and everybody around that you finished the 11th City Ice Skating Tour. That's one of the aspects. The other one is, we are an event that I think is unique in the world. No money from outside, no sponsorships, only by volunteers. In a world where commercial aspects are getting bigger and more important all the time. And we know we can do it in our province with all the things that have to be done, and you can understand it's a huge organization, but we can do it because the whole province is supporting it. You can get a bed for free when you come, you have to be there. Everybody is supporting it. So we think, in the world that we live nowadays, that it's worth to organize the 11th City Ice Skating Tour, even if we know that there's a little chance that we will do it. That's why, in this world, we think it's important to do a thing like this. Thank you very much.